Secret 7 Mystery by Enid Blyton. Janet and Peter were having breakfast with their father and mother one lovely spring morning. Scamper, their golden spaniel, was lying as usual under the table. Suddenly, their father put down the newspaper he had been reading and smiled.
Do the Secret 7 want to make themselves really useful? Because I've just read something in this paper that might be right up their street.
What's that, Dad?
I'll read it to you. Elizabeth Mary Wilhelmina Sonning, after being accused of stealing money from the desk of her teacher, is missing from her aunt's house. She took nothing with her but the clothes she was wearing, and is in school uniform and school hat. The police state that her parents are abroad, and she has a brother who is away in France.
But what can the Secret 7 do about it?
Now comes the bit that might interest you. Elizabeth was last seen in Belling Village, and it's thought she might be going to her grandmother who lives near there.
Belling Village? Why, that's the next village from here. And do you think the Secret 7 could keep a lookout for her? Yes, we could. What's she like?
Well, there's a photograph of her. It's not a very good one, but it might help. Here it is.
She's a bit older than us. Looks quite nice, really. But if she stole that money, well...
She should be easy to recognise with all that dark, fluffy hair.
Yes, and it also says that she has a scar down one arm, is a good horse rider, and tall for her age, and strong. We should be able to spot her if she's hiding somewhere.
Yes, we'll call a Secret 7 meeting for tomorrow. Good thing it's Saturday.
So Janet sent notices to each of the Secret 7, and the following morning she and Peter and Scamper waited in the shed for the others to arrive.
That's someone already. Shut the door, Janet. We'll have to ask them the password as usual. Password! Mint sauce! Come in. Hello, George. Hello, Colin. Hello, Peter. Hello, Janet. Hello, Scamper. Password.
I've forgotten. I'm Pam, so you can let me in.
No, we can't. You know the rule.
Think of lamb chops.
Eh? Oh, yes, of course. Mint sauce.
How dare you run Pam like that, Janet? Come on in, Pam. There's someone else coming now.
Mint sauce.
Come in. Anything exciting happening, Peter? Yes, quite. But what about that awful sister of yours, Jack? Is she anywhere about? We don't want her snooping around. This is quite an important meeting.
No, Susie's gone shopping with Mother. She doesn't even know there's a meeting. We're quite safe.
Good. Now listen, everybody, and I'll tell you what this meeting is about. It was my father who suggested we should inquire into the matter. It concerns a girl who stole some money from her school and ran away, and is missing. And I reckon...
Then Peter explained everything very clearly, and passed the newspaper photograph and description around. When they had all studied it very carefully, Peter looked at them seriously.
Well, there you are. Do you think you could spot her if you saw her?
We might, but lots of girls have dark curly hair. If she wears short sleeves, we might spot the scar on her arm, but that's one thing she'll certainly hide.
How do we set about looking for her?
Well, I thought it'd be sensible to explore Belling Village and around about. If Elizabeth was actually seen in Belling, she must be hiding somewhere near. I expect the police have hunted pretty well everywhere, but we know better where to look than they do, because we know where we'd hide if we wanted to. Grown-ups seem to forget things they did when they were young.
Yes, they do. But what about the grandmother, Peter? Should one of us go and see her? She might be helpful.
That's a good idea. This girl knows something about horses too. It could be worth visiting a couple of stables. She might even try getting a job at one.
That's true, but it's no good us all going out looking together. Anyone in hiding would hear us coming, and for another thing, we'd never cover all the countryside.
I agree. Look, you arrange between yourselves where you are going to search, and Jack and I will go off to the grandmother's house. Everyone report back here at 2:30 sharp. Now let's get going.
Peter and Jack went back to the house, where they had a piece of luck. Peter's mother told them that she knew Elizabeth's grandmother, Mrs. Sonning, who lived at Bramble Cottage in Belling, because she often ran jumble sales for the Belling Women's Institute. There were 2 boxes of old clothes which the boys could take over to her. So it wasn't long before Peter and Jack turned up at Bramble Cottage with the 2 big boxes tied to their bicycles. They rang the bell on the green front door of the pretty little house.
Hello. My mother sent some more jumble over for Mrs. Sonning's sale. May I speak to her, please?
Oh, I'm afraid she's in bed, not very well. But come on in and put your boxes down. I am Miss Wardle, Mrs. Sonning's companion. I'll tell her you brought them.
Thank you. I expect she's very upset about her granddaughter. My mother was very sorry about it too.
Oh, yes, she's very troubled. She's so fond of Elizabeth and is longing for the child to come here. She doesn't believe all this nonsense about the money, and neither do I. I've known her since she was so high, and a nicer, more honest, straightforward child I've never known. Oh, I can't bear to think of her hiding somewhere, afraid to come out.
She's been seen somewhere about here, hasn't she?
Yes, and it's my belief she's been to this very house. I haven't told Mrs. Sonning about it. It would worry her. But some of my tarts went missing last night, and a meat pie, and biscuits, and a rug off the back room sofa.
I wonder why she is hiding. You say you don't believe she's guilty of stealing that money?
I don't. But it was found in her locker. So what are we to believe?
Who's that, Emma? Is there any news of Elizabeth?
Oh, that's Mrs. Sonning. You'd better go now.
All right, Miss Wardle. We'll bring another box of jumble tomorrow. Come along, Jack. And you, Scamper.
Now, how had the others been getting on? Well, Pam and Barbara had searched all the woods and fields on the east side of Belling and found nothing, until they suddenly saw a girl in school uniform coming through the woods towards them. They both jumped into a bush and peeped through the leaves. The girl's hat was pulled well over her eyes as she walked slowly up to the bush, and then suddenly she fell into it, almost squashing Pam and Barbara.
It's Jack's horrible sister Susie. Get off, Susie. You've nearly squashed us flat. What did you do that for?
You were laying in wait to jump out on me. I spotted you crawling into the bush. What are you doing? I'll bet it's got something to do with the secret 7.
Stop interfering, Susie. You've given me a big bruise and we shan't tell you anything.
You've all got some sort of secret on, haven't you? Tell me and I'll help you.
Certainly not. We keep our secrets to ourselves.
Well, I'll get it out of Jack. And don't lie and wait for me again. Goodbye.
Now she knows we are in the middle of another excitement, and she's so sharp I'm sure she'll find out what it is.
Yes, I know. Anyhow, time's getting on. We'd better go and report back.
While all this was happening, George and Janet had been visiting the local stables to see if any girls had been there recently asking for work. But there was no sign of Elizabeth Sonning anywhere. Eventually, they called in at Warner's stables, which were the biggest in the district. It was very busy with horses and riders coming and going, and no one took much notice of the 2 children. As they could see no girls of Elizabeth's description, they made their way out to where 2 stable boys were working, and went up to one of them, who was fetching some straw.
Hello. Hello. Can I help you?
Perhaps.
Do you have any stable girls here?
No, one came the other day and asked for a job, but Mr. Warner turned her down. Said she wouldn't be strong enough.
What was she like?
Hey, Tom, here a minute. What was the girl like that came for a job the other day?
Was she brown-eyed with masses of dark curly hair?
Did you notice that she had a scar on her arm? Why? Is she a friend of yours?
Well, no, not exactly. It's just someone we are looking for.
I didn't see her. I wasn't here the day she came.
That's right. Anyway, she couldn't have been your friend. She didn't have dark hair. Hers was almost yellow.
Did you say your friend had a massive dark hair and a scar on her arm?
Yes.
I saw a girl like that in a tea shop in Gorton the other day. It was very hot in there, and when she took her coat off, I noticed this scar.
But hadn't she a long-sleeved school blouse on?
Yes, but she'd rolled her sleeves up. Look, I can't stay talking. I've got work to do.
But Tom, this is really important. Did she speak to you?
Oh, yes. She said she was going to catch a train to London and see if she could fly to France to join her brother there.
Tom, come and saddle this horse up.
I'll have to go now.
Thank you, Tom. You've been really helpful.
Everyone was early for the 2:30 meeting in the shed, and when they were all inside, they locked the door and the meeting began. Peter started by telling them how they had been to Elizabeth's grandmother's house and how Miss Wardle had told them about the pies and things being taken, along with an old rug. But when he told them that Miss Wardle had said that Elizabeth was a nice, straightforward girl, Pam interrupted him.
She can't be. You can't call a thief straightforward. She's just saying that.
Don't interrupt. What I am saying is that there's no doubt Elizabeth is hiding somewhere near her grandmother's house and getting food from there. And she'll do that at night as often as she needs food. Jack and I are taking some more jumble there on Monday, and if Elizabeth's been getting into the house again, some of us will have to go over that night and watch the house ourselves.
Yes,
Good idea.
Jolly good
That's
idea.
a great idea.
George and Janet said nothing, but looked meaningly at each other. Then Colin reported that although he had searched every barn and caravan site he knew, he could find no sign of the missing girl. After that, Pam and Barbara reported how the only girl they had seen was Jack's awful sister Susie, who had jumped on them in the bushes.
So that's what Susie was pestering the life out of me at dinner, to find out what the Secret Seven are up to.
Now we shan't have a moment's peace. She's sure to find out what we are after. She's as sharp as a needle.
She certainly is. I wouldn't be surprised if she's snooping around outside now.
No, if she was, Scamper would bark and let us... Oh, no!
Hello, Secret Seven. I thought you'd be here. I found your newspaper cuttings, Jack. I know what you're all up to.
Jack, do you mean to say you left those cuttings around?
That's right, tick 'em off. Shall I tell you my news of Elizabeth Mary Wilhelmina Sonning?
Go away, Susie. Come on, Scamper, let's see her off. That scared her.
Do you think she heard what we were all saying?
No, Scamper would have barked. Susie could have only just come at that moment. Bother! Your sister's a nuisance, Jack.
Don't worry. You just wait until you hear what Janet and I have to report.
They all sat round and listened in silence, while George and Janet told them how they had met the two stable boys, Tom and Harry, at Warner's stables. When they came to the bit where Tom had said he had seen a girl answering Elizabeth's description in Gorton, who told him that she was going to London to get a plane to go to her brother in France, there was a deep silence. Everyone looked at Peter, even Scamper.
The thing that puzzles me is this. If Elizabeth is in London waiting to fly to France, who is it taking pies and a rug from her grandmother's house at night?
I hadn't thought of that. Bother! One of our reports must be wrong somehow. If she's hanging around her granny's house, she can't be going to fly to France.
She might have found she didn't have enough money. and changed her mind and come back to Belling to get some money from her grandmother's house. After all, if she has stolen once, she can easily do so again. That's true, Jack.
Those two stable boys told us that a girl with golden hair had applied for a job. Perhaps it was Elizabeth, and she dyed her hair.
Well, it is possible, I suppose. I think we'll all go over and have a word with those two boys. They might be able to think of something they've forgotten to tell Janet and George. What do they like to look at?
Harry is big and cheerful. Tom seems a bit shy, and they've both got dark hair and are untidy.
Yes, and Tom's riding breeches are too large for him.
Right, tomorrow is Sunday, so we can't do much. But after school on Monday, Jack and I will take some more jumble over to old Mrs. Sonning and find out the latest news from that quarter. And then come over to meet you all at Warner Stables afterwards.
On Monday, they raced home to tea after school, and Peter and Jack went up to Mrs. Sonning's with some more old jumble that they had managed to find. When they got there, Miss Wardle told them that she knew Elizabeth had been there again the past 2 nights because more food had been taken. But what was really extraordinary was that neither she or Mrs. Sonning had any idea how the girl was getting into the house because all the doors were locked and bolted. It was most worrying. When Peter and Jack arrived at the stable, the others there were busy carrying hay and straw about.
Hello, you two. We're having a lovely time helping with the ponies. Come and meet Tom and Harry. Harry, this is Peter and Jack.
Hello, boys. Hello, Harry. And you must be Tom.
Yes.
I hear you saw the girl Elizabeth Sonning at Gorton the other day. The police haven't found her yet. I should think her grandmother must be ill with worry, wouldn't you?
The girl must be feeling pretty awful too. Anyway, I reckon she's in France now. She said she wanted to go to her brother.
No, she's not in France. She goes each night to her granny's house and takes things. Miss Wardle told me that. She says she can't think how Elizabeth gets in the house because everything is locked and fastened.
Tonight we are going to watch the house ourselves. We are sure we should see her getting in if she comes in the dark. We'll try to get her to go and see her granny, who loves her and believes she's an honest girl.
Well, if you're going to watch the house tonight, I'd like to come too. I bet I could see anyone creeping into a house at night. I'll come with you.
Well, all right. We shall be there at 10:30. I'll give an owl hoot when we arrive. And if you're there, hoot back.
I'll be there. And a policeman or two, I expect. If they see us, you stick up for me and say I'm not a burglar, won't you?
Of course we will. Come on, Tom. We'd better go and feed the ponies now.
All right, I'm coming.
Cheerio, Tom. Don't forget the owl hoot.
The children all had a lovely time with the ponies, and later got onto their bicycles to ride across the fields towards the road for home. Suddenly, in the distance, they saw a girl. She had a suitcase, and when she saw them, she started running. She got to a stile, climbed over it, and raced away down the road.
Look, is that Elizabeth? With a suitcase too. Quick, let's follow her.
Stop! She's dropped something. It looks like a handkerchief.
I've got it. It is a handkerchief. And look, it's got E embroidered in the corner. It must be Elizabeth. Her hiding place must be near here. Let's go after her, quickly.
If only we can get her to be friends and come with us. Ring your bells, all of you, so she can hear us. Now, once we get our bikes over the stile, we should soon be able to catch her up on the road. All over?
Yes.
Come on, then. There she is, disappearing round that corner. Ring your bells and cycle as fast as you can.
She's vanished.
Perhaps she's gone into that ruined old cottage.
Yes, let's go and look for her there. Wait a minute. Look, by the cottage gate. She's dropped her suitcase. Let's go and have a look at it. It's got the initials EWMS on it.
Elizabeth Mary Wilhelmina Sonning. But where is Elizabeth? Elizabeth, where are you?
There's no reply. I wonder why she dropped her case. She might guess we'd find it.
I'm going to open it. There's something peculiar about this. Good, it's not locked. Gosh, look, there's a box inside with money written on it.
Open it, Peter. It might be the stolen money.
Right. Oh, no!
What's wrong?
What is it? What's wrong? There's just a card in it which says lots and lots of love from Susie.
She's such a waste.
No, stupid girl.
I recognise the case now. It's been up in our loft for ages.
Oh, let's go on home. I've had enough of Susie for now.
All right, Jack. Don't you dare let anything out to Susie about us going to Mrs. Sonning's tonight to watch for Elizabeth.
All right, Peter. I'll be really careful.
That night, Peter, Jack, George and Colin slipped silently out of their houses, and Jack was very careful to make sure that Susie was asleep when he left. They all met together and then cycled quickly over to the grandmother's house in Belling, where they dismounted and put their bicycles into the hedge. The cottage was in complete darkness.
The only person to hoot is me. If we all hoot, it will sound as if the garden is full of owls, and any policeman would be suspicious.
All right, where shall we hide?
2 at the back, 1 in the front, you, Colin, and 1 at the side.
I'll go to the side by the garden door and hide in the hedge. There isn't a door on the far side, so we'll be watching every door and window.
It's pretty dark. There's no moon, and it's a cloudy night. We'll have to keep our ears wide open because it's pretty difficult to see anything.
Our eyes will soon get used to the darkness. Hey, listen. What's that?
It's me, Tom. I was waiting here. I heard you say where you were going to wait round the house. I think I'll climb up a tree. That will be a good place to look and listen from. I don't think there's any police about. I've been here for some time.
Right. Hoot if you hear anyone coming, and I'll hoot back.
I'll climb that tree over by the wall. I should get a good view from there if the moon comes out.
All right. Good luck. Are you ready, you 3?
Golly, what was that?
Only a barn owl. Gosh, it made me jump. Good job they only screech and not hoot, or we would have thought someone was coming. Right, let's get to our places.
Nothing happened for a long while. Then a low sound came across the garden. Peter realised that it was Tom giving a warning. Everything went very quiet and strange and exciting, and Peter's heart began to thump. Then he suddenly stared in amazement. A light appeared in an upstairs bedroom of the cottage. It was obviously a torch, as he could see the beam here and there behind the drawn curtains. In spite of everything, Elizabeth must be there inside the house. Then the light upstairs disappeared and reappeared in a lower room. Perhaps the runaway girl was looking for food again. But if she got in, then she would have to get out. Peter signalled to put everyone on their guard. Then the light in the house disappeared completely. All the watchers listened and strained their eyes in the darkness. But nothing happened. No doors opened, and no windows creaked or rattled. After 10 minutes, Peter was just about to call the others when he heard a man's voice.
Well, do you see anyone? No, Sergeant, not a thing. The kid must still be in the house. We'll knock up Mrs. Wardle and search.
Gosh, there are some police here then. I'd better call the others. Anything wrong, Peter? No, except the police are here. Did you see anyone? No, only the police. Did you, Jack? No.
Nor me. Not a thing. Here's Tom. Did you hear or see anything, Tom?
No. Nor did the police. They could only have seen what we saw, just a light moving behind the curtains. The sergeant has gone to the house, and Miss Wardle has let him in. Gone to have a look to see if the girl's still in there, I expect.
The other policeman is waiting outside, keeping watch.
Look, I think I'll slip off now. The police don't know me, and they might wonder what I'm doing here with you. So long.
Cheerio, Tom. Look, the sergeant's coming out now. Listen.
Thank you, Miss Wardle. Nothing to report, Will. There's no girl at the house. I've looked everywhere.
Well, no one's come out, Sergeant. Has anything been taken?
Yes, more food. Nothing else. Strange, isn't it? How could anyone have got in there under our very ears and eyes, taken food, and got out again without being seen or heard? It must be the girl. But where's she hiding beats me. I mean, we've combed the countryside for her. Well, her brother's coming here from France tomorrow, but he can't do much if we can't. Come on, let's go.
Well, what do you make of it, Peter? Peculiar, isn't it?
It certainly is. There's 4 of us hiding here, and 2 policemen, and Tom up a tree, yet none of us saw Elizabeth getting in or out of the house.
Gosh, I'm tired.
And me. Let's go home and sleep on it. Poor Elizabeth. What must she be feeling like? Having to scrounge food at night and hide away in the day? She must be pretty miserable.
Well, maybe her brother can help. He'll be here tomorrow. Come on, I'm going home.
The meeting the next evening was not very thrilling. The boys were tired and got a bit irritable when the girls started asking them questions, because they had nothing to report. So when the cheeky Susie stood grinning at the shed door, shouting the password, they surprised her by running out and dragging her off to the gate, and not very gently either. Finally, it was decided that Jack and Peter would cycle over and see if Elizabeth's brother had arrived at her grandmother's house. At Bramble Cottage, they looked over the hedge and saw that 3 people were sitting in deck chairs in the little garden, enjoying the warm sunshine.
There's Miss Wardle. The older lady must be Elizabeth's grandmother.
And the young man must be the brother. He looks worried.
Let's go to the gate. Come on.
Hello, you 2. Come on in.
Thank you, Miss Wardle.
Mrs. Sonning, these are the 2 nice boys who brought all that jumble.
Oh, thank you very much, boys. And this is my grandson, Charles. He's come over from France to see if he can help find Elizabeth. They are very fond of each other, and if she knows he's here, she might come out of hiding.
We met a boy the other day who saw her in Gorton. Perhaps she was on her way here then.
What? Someone actually saw her in Gorton? Who was this boy?
His name is Tom. He's a stable boy at Warner's. He says Elizabeth told him she was going to France to see you.
But she didn't know where I was in France. Even the police had great difficulty getting in touch with me.
Well, that's what Tom said. He couldn't have made it up, because he's never met her before.
I'll go and see him, and then I'll have a look at...
Answer it, Charles, there's a dear.
All right, Granny.
You will thank your mother for sending over the jumble, won't you? Ah, here comes Charles. He looks very pleased.
Granny, it was Elizabeth's headmistress. She phoned to
has Elizabeth gone back to school? Or gone back to her aunt?
No, but all that upset about the stolen money is cleared up. Of course it wasn't Elizabeth that took it. The girl who took it got frightened that Elizabeth hadn't been found and owned up.
Oh, thank
I
goodness.
knew it all along.
So, who was the girl that took the money?
Elizabeth's friend, Lucy Howell. She saw the cash box and took it on the spur of the moment. And when the police were called in, she put it in Elizabeth's locker.
But why? She was supposed to be a friend of Elizabeth.
Apparently, she was jealous because Elizabeth was ahead of her in marks and better at games and more popular.
But didn't Elizabeth deny taking the money?
Yes, but unfortunately she'd been seen alone in the classroom where the money was left on the desk, and no one believed her. Aunt Rose was upset, so Elizabeth must have felt that there was nothing to do but run away.
Poor child. But now she can come back with her name cleared.
But how are we going to let her know that everything is all right? We don't even know where she is.
We must find her. She hasn't got enough money to buy food or anything, and she's out there all alone, worried and miserable, thinking we are ashamed of her.
Oh, don't, Charles. We must find her. We must.
Well, the first thing to do is to go up and see this stable boy who met Elizabeth in Gorton.
We'll take you there now, Charles. Come on.
Peter, Jack and Charles went up the hill to Warner's stables. The two boys liked Charles. He reminded them of someone, but they couldn't think who. When they reached the stables, Harry was saddling a horse.
Where's Tom, Harry?
Not sure. Somewhere about.
You two go round the yard, and I'll look in the stables.
All right, see you in a few minutes.
Tom! Tom!
Yes?
There's someone to see you.
Who is it?
That girl, Elizabeth's brother. He's just come from France, and he wants... Hey! Where are you going? Tom! Tom, come back! Tom!
What's the matter?
Did you see Tom? He tore out of here just now.
We saw someone dashing past. Don't take any notice of Tom. He's always a bit odd.
I'd like to ask him a few things. Where does he live?
Sorry, I don't know.
We'll come back tomorrow then. Perhaps he's making the whole story up. Read about her in the paper or something.
Yes, it is all very worrying indeed. We haven't told my parents yet. They're in China and we didn't want to worry them. But I'll have to phone them tomorrow. I'd better go back to poor old Granny now. Goodbye, and thanks for your help.
Goodbye, Charles!
I wonder if Tom knows Elizabeth and dashed off like that to warn her that her brother is here.
It's possible. We'll ask him straight out tomorrow. He's sure to give himself away if he does know where she is. We'll ask Charles to come too. He should be able to make him tell anything he knows.
The next evening, the Secret Seven went riding to the stables once more, leaving a message at Bramble Cottage asking Charles to follow. Near the stables, they could see Tom exercising a pony in a field, and they shouted at him and waved. He came cantering over.
Sorry, I'm busy. Is there anything you want?
Yes. Tom, do you know where Elizabeth is hiding? Come on, tell me. Do you?
Why should I know? Don't be crazy. Come on, boy, let's get away from these stupid kids.
He does know, he does! Peter, what on earth's the matter? Why are you looking like that?
Peter, what is it?
Of course he knows where Elizabeth is. Better than anyone else in the world. Anyone!
Peter, what are you doing? What are you talking about?
Why are you lifting your bike over the stile? He's gone mad. He's cycling after Tom. Look! He's chasing around the meadow, shouting something at him.
Stop, you idiot! Stop, Elizabeth! I've got good news for you! Elizabeth! Elizabeth, stop! Lucy Howell has confessed to taking the money. Stop, you idiot, and listen to me!
Look, the pony's stopping now. Come on, let's run and join them. You're all right, Peter?
She's not Tom! She's Elizabeth, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I am Elizabeth Sonning.
I knew your brother reminded me of someone, and suddenly I saw the likeness just now at the gate.
Gosh,
well done, Peter. Elizabeth, it's all right. Your name's cleared. And look, running across the field to us, your brother Charles. Hold the pony, Janet, while she gets off.
Oh, Charles, Charles, I'm so glad to see you. I really am. Is it true Lucy said she stole the money and that no one will think I'm a thief anymore?
Yes, you monkey, of course it's true. And what have you got to say for yourself, having everybody hunting for you? And where have you been hiding? And how did you get in and out of Granny's house? And why didn't you tell us?
Oh, Charles, I'll answer all your questions. But do let's go to Granny's. I do so want to hug her and tell her everything's all right.
Come on then. You 7 kids had better come too. We've got a lot to thank you for.
Of course, at Bramble Cottage, Elizabeth was hugged and kissed and tears streamed down her face with happiness. Miss Wardle rushed about with biscuits and lemonade for everyone. Scamper was there as usual and was delighted with the 2 fine biscuits presented to him. When they were all comfortably settled down, Charles smiled across at his sister.
Now, Elizabeth, where did you hide?
I hid in the hayloft of the stables each night. With the rug over me, I was quite warm and cosy.
So you did take the rug. And all that food, I suppose.
Yes. You see, I had no money left after paying my fare to get down here. I got a job at the stables, but had to wait a week before my wages were due. I couldn't go without eating.
Oh, you poor child. I knew you weren't a thief. That's why I cooked special tarts and pies for you and left them out, hoping you'd come and take them.
Oh, thank you. I did wonder why there was such a lot of my favourite food in the larder.
Why did you tell us that you'd met yourself in Gorton?
To put you off the scent, and to make people think I wasn't hiding near. I had to come near Granny's because of the food, you see. And I wanted to be near somebody. I was so miserable.
My poor girl. But how did you get into the house?
Yes, how? Because we were all here the other night watching. How very funny. Because you were here too, pretending to watch for yourself. Were you really up the tree?
Oh, yes. That tree has a branch that goes to the bathroom window, and I know how to open it with a penknife. I had a lovely lot of food that night, and was just sliding down the tree again when I heard the police knocking at the door.
And that's why you told us not to tell the police you were there. Because your pockets were full of food.
What I want to know, Peter, is how you came to realise that Tom the stable boy was Elizabeth.
Well, I suddenly saw the likeness between you both, and the bits of the jigsaw fell into place.
I was never so surprised in my life as when you came at me and my pony at 60 miles an hour on your bike, yelling at the top of your voice. But I'm glad you did. Granny, when I come here for the holidays, can I have these children over to play sometimes?
Of course. I shall always be glad to see them. There's only one thing I'm sad about, Elizabeth. Your hair. What a pity you hacked it so short like that.
I had to, Granny. I did it with your nail scissors the first night I came over here. I took Charles's riding breeches that night too, and his jersey. Oh, Granny, I am so very happy. You can't think how different I feel.
What a wonderful finish. Who would have thought it would end like that? We'd better go now and leave you all happy together. We all feel pretty happy too, don't we?
So they said goodbye, and Scamper gravely shook paws as well. Then they went away on their bicycles, Scamper running beside them. And what do you think the password was for the next meeting of the Secret Seven? Well, if you knock on the shed door and say, "Stable boy," they might let you in.